Fisher Media.
Hey, it's Monday, here we go. It's the Call Me Tony Show.
Hey guys, today is Monday, February 10th, 2025. My name is Tony. This is my podcast, and welcome to it. Today, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. The idea of taking responsibility for the person I used to be, the mistakes I made, the damage I've caused. Now, I've come a long way since then, but I'm not here to give you a look at how much I've changed speech. I'm here to talk about how owning my past, reflecting on it, and staying curious has been the key to my personal growth. I've made peace with who I used to be. I don't hide from it, and I don't make excuses for it. Never have. The version of me from years ago isn't someone I'm proud of, but he's someone I needed to be for a while so I could eventually learn to change. Those of you who have been following me since the beginning know that I've owned up to everything. Not all of it's been pretty. Not all of it's been excessively ugly either, but I've owned up to the good, the bad, and the in-between. Because this is part of who I am. And these are things that I have to confront on a daily basis. There are times where these things give me pause to think, I'm not him anymore. That's a good thing. There's other times where I pause to think, geez, I can't believe I was ever that person. But I can't erase who I was. And I wouldn't erase who I was even if I could. Because, like I said, it's part of me. So, well, without getting too far deep into the weeds, let's start with what I mean when I say I take responsibility for my past. I'm not talking about minor mistakes or moments of bad judgment. I'm talking about real harm. I was racist. I was homophobic. I was verbally abusive. I objectified women. I lied. I cheated on my first wife. I stole things. Now, I'm not sharing this to shock anyone or to seek sympathy. I'm sharing because I believe growth starts with honesty. And if I can't be honest about who I was, then any growth I claim is meaningless. There was a time when I had an excuse for every bad behavior. I justified my attitudes and my actions using my religious beliefs. I thought I had everything figured out, and I could back up my views with scriptures. I was confident, maybe a little too confident, and that confidence allowed me to be cruel without questioning myself. Looking back, I can see that my behavior wasn't just harmful to others, it was harmful to me. I wasn't living authentically and I wasn't growing. I was stuck in a pattern of believing that I was right about everything, even when I was hurting people, even when I was hurting myself. But about 20 years ago, things started to shift. There were several people that had come through my life who challenged my beliefs, and instead of brushing them off, I decided to dig deeper. And not because I wanted to change, but because I wanted to get better at defending my positions. But things didn't go the way I expected. The first major challenge was to my pro-life stance. Someone gave me basic facts, things I couldn't refute with my Bible or any scientific evidence, and I was stuck. I had nothing solid to stand on. And that's when I realized that if I was wrong about this one thing, what else could I be wrong about? And that thought scared me a lot. Because I built my identity on the idea that I had the answers, but now I wasn't sure anymore. I realized that while it's impossible to be right about everything, it's very possible to be wrong about everything. And once that doubt crept in, it opened the floodgates. The next belief to fall was my view that the world was created by God and that evolution was a lie. I had spent years dismissing evolution, but when I actually looked at the evidence, it was impossible to ignore. That realization came quickly. After that, I made a decision. I was going to question everything. No belief was off limits. I asked myself the biggest question of all: does God exist? And one by one, the beliefs I had held on to for years, for my whole life, began to fall apart. But here's the thing: as my beliefs crumbled, my moral values didn't disappear. In fact, they shifted just as quickly. I I realized that many of my attitudes were rooted in nothing more than prejudice and fear. And there were moments that surprised me. I remember thinking about same-sex marriage and feeling like it was wrong. But then I asked myself, why do I think it's wrong? And I had no justification. Nothing that held up under scrutiny anyway. In that moment, I became a strong ally, and I've been one ever since. These individual shifts didn't take years. They happened in the moments that I acknowledged the flaws of my beliefs. It was like opening doors that I didn't know were there. And once I was on the other side, I wasn't willing to go back. Unfortunately, not everyone saw these changes as positive. There were and probably are people who believed I was on the wrong path, people who thought I was abandoning everything good and moral. And then there's the other group of people, the people that didn't and don't think that the changes are real. They see these things as a phase or an act, like I'm faking growth. And given the overwhelming body of work over the last several years, me owning every position that I hold, me challenging these positions at the same time, me demonstrating that I am no longer any of the things I used to be, the skepticism, to some degree it hurts, but mostly it irritates my sense of reason because I'm not just making baseless claims. I am practicing what I preach. I'm walking the walk. I live what I say. I was then, just like I am now, genuinely trying to become a better person. But instead of support, which for the most part I get, there are still that small group of people that bring resistance and doubt to the table. And those people, though it's a small, probably even a shrinking group, it makes the process a little harder for me because I'm not just battling my internal transformation, I'm battling external judgment. Unfair, harsh, and sometimes stupid judgment. Uh, in the middle of all this, I continue to question myself. I question myself constantly. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this habit of questioning myself. I'm okay with the uncertainty. Self reflection is part of who I am. And experience has taught me that questioning myself isn't a sign of weakness, it's the path to growth. I never want to be the person who thinks he has all the answers again. Never want to be him again. I've been that person, and it didn't make me better. It made me stagnant. And I've learned that self reflection doesn't mean doubting my worth, it means that I'm open to change. Now, when I lost to the only community I'd ever known, I felt isolated for a few years. And That isolation was painful, but it taught me something valuable. It taught me that I had to learn to reassure myself. I had to remind myself that I wasn't changing for anyone else. I was becoming who I wanted to be, not trying to win a popularity contest. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that confidence isn't the goal. I don't want to be certain about everything. The uncertainty is what keeps me exploring, what keeps me questioning, what keeps me growing. I don't want to go back to the person I used to be, the person who had a confident answer for everything. Instead, I embrace curiosity. And when I don't have an answer, I ask questions. When I face something new, I approach it with an open mind. And that's how I continue to evolve. The biggest difference between who I was then and who I am now is this. Back then, I was sure of everything. These days, I'm sure of almost nothing, and I like it that way. I like good questions more than I like sure answers because questions lead to growth. Answers, if we cling to them too tightly, they can hold us back. One of my favorite quotes, I don't know who said it, is something along the lines of, it's not the answer that enlightens us, but the question. And I live by that now. I would rather live with the discomfort of uncertainty than like this nonsense bullshit security of thinking that I have everything figured out. Anyways, thanks for being with me here today. And if you find yourself on a journey of change or self-reflection, know that it's okay to question everything. It's even okay to question yourself. Growth isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.